Hey everyone out there in the world on YouTube, it's me, OmicronLynx. I'm here in Marks Cove Marshes. It's a wetlands reserve as well as a conservation area in the Commonwealth of Massachusetts. I have another channel called OmicronLynx New Englander. I post a lot of shorts at the moment. I might do some longer vids on that are all about the different types of currently. It's about the different types of wildlife that I come across where I'm currently living. But as time goes on, as it's OmicronLynx New Englander, I plan on it being about anything and everything pertaining to New England. Restaurants, sites, culture, people. But right now it's mainly the birds and boats and water and woods and things like that. But a lot of birds and some bugs and squirrels and, you know, wildlife at the moment. But anyways, this is OmicronLynx Thoughts and Opinions, where I just give my thoughts and my opinions, not facts, although arguably they could be, as I consider myself a very objective, practical, and analytical individual. But again, I'm a human being, and we're living in a pretty schmucked up world at the moment, so they're my thoughts and they're my opinions, so nobody go get all uppity. Please don't get defensive. These are my thoughts and my opinions. So please don't say, no, you're wrong, because how can I be wrong about what my opinions are? Is it more likely that you are wrong about what my opinions are? But anyways, so I don't have it in front of me. I'm out in the middle of no man's land and I didn't take anything with me. But yesterday I came across, and I didn't watch at all. I didn't really even watch much of it. I just watched a couple minutes of the opening, and then there was another link clip. So I barely watched. I just like took a quick peek at it. But Warren Smith published a thing about going live about the hypocrisy of men versus women in spring-autumn relationships. You know, how society or men think it's wrong for older women to go out with younger men, but yet men or society seems to think that it's acceptable, well, for older men to go out with younger women, and this is hypocritical and contradictive. But again, I just mainly watched the introductory part and some of the things he pointed out, because I not only caught, I caught it through some X tweets he put out. But so this is my thoughts and this is my opinion on age gap contradiction. Excuse me. I have bad indoor and outdoor allergies and a post-nasal drip, so excuse me if I cough a lot. If you guys see like blips in editing, it's probably me getting out some of my hack. But anyways, sorry to be gross. So my thoughts and my opinions on the age gap contradiction, or age gap hypocrisy. What hypocrisy? That's my thought, that's my opinion. That's the conclusion I drive. What hypocrisy? the conclusion that I derive to is people don't seem to understand that we live in a three-dimensional existence. Not a one, not a two, but a three. You know, I don't have one on me, but, you know, this is my little clicker. Is, you know, it's a rectangular version of a circular coin. But a lot of people say there's two sides to every coin. There's two sides to every story. No, there isn't. This is a three-dimensional existence. One side, two side. If it was a coin and didn't have the points, three sides. The edge is a side. The inside is a side. That's four. The outside is a side. That's five. And no side. We say no side. No side is a side. That's six. So even with a thin, flat object, like a coin, there are six sides. To some things, there are 9 sides, like pyramids, triangular objects. And then for square with cubical objects, there's 12 sides. So, no, there's not 2 sides to every coin. There's not 2 sides to every concept. And another thing, too, is, you know, talking about sides. A lot of people, in my opinion, look at the world not actually in so much of a two-dimensional perspective or observation, but they actually look at existence more as a single-dimensional line, a two-dimensional diagonal line with ends. So they're not really seeing length and width or length and height. They're just seeing length with a good end and a bad end. And so something is good or it is bad. And that's it. You're here or you're there. You're Democrat or you're Republican. And that's it. You know, you're right or you're wrong. You're good or you're evil. That's not existence. That is not reality. It's far more complex than that. Now, jibba jabba jabba, jibba jabba, OmicronLynx, what are you going on about? So how does, okay, it's three-dimensional and not two-dimensional or single-dimensional with 2 ends, what does that have to do with the age gap being contradicted? Well, being not hypocritical. Well, here's the thing. Is quite often in this complex existence, sometimes, well, most of the time, human beings oversimplify something. And then other times, human beings overthink and overcomplicate something. It is politics and perspectives that make, you know, the sides, the 2 sides, the male side and the female side, the man side and the woman side, the Republican side, the Democrat side, that have us believing that it's hypocritical. But here's the thing. Hypocritical, hypocrisy, what is this? It is when a person or an organization, it's when a singular thing says one thing and does another. There's this, there's also the misconception that's embedded in us as children when we're rebellious and learning to make sense of existence. And, you know, your parent tells you to do one thing, but your parent does another. And we say that's hypocritical or contradictive because you're saying one thing while you're doing another. Big misunderstanding. That's not hypocrisy. A parent telling a child to do something while the parent does something else, or even the direct opposite. That's not hypocrisy. It's not the parent saying that all human beings, or that parents, or that themselves should not do something and then going to do it. The parent is telling a child not to do something while they can do it. That's not hypocrisy. That's not contradiction. If I said, right, that I should never, and I'm never going, to touch my little clicker ever again, and now I'm touching my clicker, I'm a hypocrite. Now if I said, I don't want no little kids that are walking around the conservation area touching my clicker, and I touch my clicker, is that hypocritical? Is that contradictive? No. Because it's my clicker, I can touch it. I don't want other people touching it. But also, here's the other thing I specifically said. I don't want children that are roaming around here touching my clicker. If I said I don't want children touching my clicker, and a kid came over and asked to hold my clicker, which would require touching it, and I gave it to them, well, then I'm a hypocrite. I didn't follow through with what I was saying. I said I don't want children touching it, and I gave it to a child, and what am I talking about? So here's the thing. A male is a male, and a female is a female. There are two genders, and we're looking at it as two aspects. Older man, younger woman, older woman, younger man. No. Here's the thing. Man, woman. We're saying man is older, woman is younger. That's what we're saying. Streamlined. Nice and simple. Where's the hypocrisy? There is no hypocrisy. Now, also, here's the other thing. Why is it so? Why does society approve of one thing and not the other? What does society have against it? Here's the thing. Do we not pay attention to human society? Why do you keep thinking Republicans versus Democrats? Why do you keep thinking conservative versus liberal as conservative 21st century or late 20th century American conservative versus late 20th century American liberal, instead of thinking of human civilization? It's not just late 20th century American culture that has the perspective that males are older and females are younger. All of them got it. There are societies where there have been, and there are cultures where women, females, are more prestigious and more powerful than males. There is a culture that exists in the Himalayas. I think they're a part of Tibet, or related to Tibet, because they're up in such a great high altitude. They have harems, but gender reverse, where one woman has a relationship with multiple men. And men are only allowed to have relationships with one woman. They are ostracized. It is a crime for a male to have a relationship with multiple females because of population control. Which brings me to this. Why is older male, younger female accepted, but older female, younger male is not? Biology. That's why. Who becomes sexually mature first? Males or females? Females. Females reach biological maturity, puberty, in its extreme statisticalness, between the ages of 6 and 16 in the extreme. But on average, or what is more probable or common, is between the ages of, so if anyone out there, if you have a daughter, please keep this in mind, because you might not want to accept the low number, but it is real. Female human beings reach sexual maturity, puberty, on average between the ages of 8 and 12. Males, male humans, boys, on the extreme end, reach puberty between 9 and 17. But quite often, 11 to 14. So, 8 to 12, 11 to 14. Women reach maturity at a younger age than males. Males need to be older than females to biologically reproduce. Here's the other thing. Males, once they've reached puberty, are capable of reproducing for the rest of their lives. Unless, of course, like, you know, some accident happens, some medical phenomena or injury. Males, biologically, male human beings, once they've reached puberty, they are capable of reproduction. There it is. Blinded by the sun. Are capable of reproduction well until their hundreds. There's been cases where males are in their 100 or about 100, 99 to 101, 102, and get a female pregnant, while females have a window. They have a limited time to reproduce. And so, as women have a window, and their window isn't until senior citizenship. It's until the early part of middle age. Women can lose their ability to reproduce between the ages of 35 and 48. Now, yes, again, please, people, when we're talking, when you're having a discussion with people, when you're sharing your thoughts and your opinions, when you're sharing facts, it's about the statistical majority. It's about the common. It's not about the statistical minority. It's not about the rare. It's most assuredly never about something that's less than 10%. Unless the conversation itself is about the 10%. A big issue I have with today, is there's always someone out there in the news, in politics, in the comment section, or on social media that wants to try to contradict others or one-up people, wants to drop the mic about but no, that's not true. No, what I said is true. What you're talking about is an abnormality, a statistical possibility, but not a probability. Learn the difference between what is possible and what is probable. Hope for the best, prepare for the worst. We're preparing for the worst. Hoping is in your head. Preparing is what we're doing. So what we're doing is we're discussing a topic. And when we're discussing a topic, we're discussing what's relevant and prevalent to the conversation at hand. So yes, women, female human beings can conceive a child, they can get pregnant, they can reproduce in their 50s. It is possible, but not probable. Another thing too is that the older a female cat's, the more complicated the reproduction process is. The more complicated and more difficult a successful pregnancy is. So females have a window, usually for and we're going to go by what is practical, preparing for the worst. So, what's most likely to happen. So again, while females, even statistically, probably have a reasonable probability of reaching maturity at the age of 8, to have a successful pregnancy at the age of 8, that is not likely. So women, females, their window is 14 to 30. High ideal. 14 to 30. Well, technically, you want to put it more like at, well, if I'm going 30, then it's really like 16 to 30. A metric wasp. Excuse me, get out of the way. So 16 to 30 is your ideal area, your ideal window. And then 14 to 34, and then 8 to 40. Green, yellow, red. But males, once you reach sexual maturity, you're good to go, unless your hip blows out, you got a broken back, or you suffer some medical trauma, a medical ailment, or you become a eunuch, as Captain Jack Sparrow would surmise. But anyways, outside of that, it's the way it works. It's biology. As a Homo sapien primate, a human being, biology, Homo sapiens, all the way beyond Cro-Magnons and even Neanderthals. The male is older than the female. It leads to a greater statistical chance of better, more successful reproduction and a continuation of the species. And then we also look. So there was also, so Warren Smith, I caught a little clip where they were, well, I didn't see them talking, but in the conversation, but on his own little clip, he mentioned how he brought up about, if you were on the Titanic, would you give up your spot on the raft for a woman? And I did catch a little bit of a clip where the host of the podcast that Warren Smith was on, was talking about, well, he's pro male, so he wouldn't really be into giving up his spot for a woman. And then also the question, why give up your spot for a woman, and what is society's basis on this?
This came up when I posed this hypothetical of, well, what if you were on the Titanic and somehow your family was present to witness your decision? Would that impact your decision?
I reject the disposability of males. So I think, I'm against it. That's the only way I can answer your question. I don't think men should die for strangers, basically.
I'm not making an argument for why men are disposable. I don't think men are disposable. One day there will be more conflict. So what do we do when conflict does arrive is the question.
If there's a war,
and let's say there's a repeat of D-Day, if we don't go, who will them?
Yeah. Well, it's interesting. I mean, maybe I'm being a bit pedantic here. I think the United States involvement in World War II is a bit overstated.
And again, like I mentioned, for males there is no window. Once maturity has been reached. For females, there is a window. One male human being can have intercourse with 20 women and give birth to 1 to, say, 30-something children. Because there's even the possibility of, or actually a probability, if having intercourse with 20 women, there being some twins there. Although probably just 2 sets. So essentially, one male is likely to have, if having intercourse with 20 women, in a single round with 20 women, has a reasonable probable chance of having anywhere from 6 to 22 children. While if a female human being has 1 round with 20 males, she only has a chance of having 1 or 2 children. That is it. 6 to 22 versus 1 or 2. That is why older male, younger female, that is why males give up their lives, not females. Biological reproduction, evolution, being an animal that exists on the face of the planet Earth, being a biological life form. Now, like what flowed me into biology, the culture in the Himalayas, where there's a reverse gender harem, where one female has relations with multiple men to control the population, to prevent massive reproduction, because way up in the high altitudes and the arid environment of that area of the Himalayas, you can't grow anything. It's very hard to grow anything. Most life is even though I'm not sure if that culture specifically is Buddhist, but you know, most cultures in the area are, and please bear in mind, I will point this out, it has been, I don't know, 18 years, maybe longer, since I came across and looked up this particular culture I'm referring to. So I don't really remember a lot of the specifics. I just remember, you know, this cool facet of it. But, you know, so they mainly have dogs, Tibetan Mastiffs, Chow Chows, and sheep and goats that feed on the little tiny thin pieces of grass that manage to exist in dry little shrubbery bushes. So there's very little that can exist up there, and it's very thin air, very little oxygen. So to control the population, this culture, thousands of years ago, set up a structure where multiple men to one woman to control the population. And this is also why when you think about World War II, baby boomings, World War I, baby booming, Civil War, baby booming. We think about all these different cultures and all these different times throughout history where these cultures and societies engaged in war, and large percentiles of the population. And then even when you think not only about war, but when you think about the Black Plague and how fast the population boom took place, even though a whole bunch of human beings died because those human beings were males. Think for a moment. If you had, well, I should say, if there was a village with 200 males and 200 females, and of course keeping in mind that there are little babies and there are senior citizens that can barely get out of bed. But we'll say with this 200 versus 200, male, female, 150 of the males die. So you have 50 males left. Most of that 50, it's young children and senior citizens. How fast would the population grow as opposed to if it was vice versa? If it was the other way around and 150 females died or left, leaving only 50 females with 200 males. How fast would the population rebound? How fast would it grow? Biology, people, biology. It's very simple. So the concept of it's acceptable for an older male to be in a relationship with a younger female, but it's not acceptable for an older female to be in a relationship with a younger male. Biology, culture, history, as a human being, a Homo sapien. It's not conservative versus liberal, it's not Republican versus Democrat, it's not 21st versus 20th or 20th versus 19th century, it's not modern versus old or ancient, it is human being. It's not white man versus non-white man, it's not white people versus non-white people, it's Homo sapiens as a species. It's biology. Why males give up their life for females? Biology. Evolution as a species. That's why. Is it contradictive? It isn't contradictive. Because it's not saying one thing while doing another. It's saying one thing, males are older, females are younger, and sticking to it. That's sticking to it. That's not contradictive. It's not contradictive to say it's okay for older males to be with younger females, but it's not okay for older females to be with younger males. Not only is that not contradictive, that is saying the same thing the other way around. If I said, I'm walking up a hill, I could also say, I'm not walking down the hill. Saying the same thing, but the other way around. If your stance is male older, female younger, then your stance would be female not older, male not younger. Because that is the opposite. No, A and B. A, male young, female, male old, female young. Thing B, female old, male young. These are the opposites of each other. So what hypocrisy? What contradiction? Because sometimes you can actually be contradictive, but not hypocritical. Hypocritical, however, is contradictive. Hypocritical is a specific subset of contradiction. But this is actually being on the same page. Just reading it upside down. It is saying the same thing from the other side. It's not hypocritical. It's not contradictive. It's staying true. What you're saying was, why is one acceptable and the other not acceptable? Now this is a way of looking at it, but to mention hypocrisy, oh, you're not smart. You are not smart, because it's not hypocritical. It's not even contradictory. It's staying to one thing. You just want to know, why is the other way around not acceptable? Why do people not accept the other way around? Biology, culture, history, society, science, fact. That is why. But, okay, I'm just explaining that it is biology. But now, for people that are arguing, for people that believe, for people whose viewpoint, for people that are in the opposite, where you're supportive or you are literally in a relationship where there's an older female and a younger male, and it's okay, and your relationship is great, and your relationship is better than the other way around. Like, you know, you're an older female and you find that your relationships are more successful and more fulfilling when you're in a relationship with a younger male than with an older male. And maybe you are a younger male that finds that you're better off and more successful when you're in a relationship with an older female as opposed to a younger female. Let me go back to what I was saying before about chill your bones. Okay, about rarities and statistics, and hope for the best, prepare for the worst. Possibility versus probability. There is not 300 million people on the face of the earth. There is not 1 million or even 10 million people in national capitals. In one or two national capitals on the face of the earth. You know, back when Rome and what was the first one? Why am I forgetting what the first one was? Was Chang'an the first one? I don't want to think it was called Chang'an then. But of course, Laoyang was one of the more predominant ones. So we say, like, back when Rome and Laoyang were the big capitals, you know, the capital of the Roman Empire and the capital of the many different dynasties of Zhonghua, the Central Plains, what people mistakenly referred to as China. When the capital of China and the capital of Rome were the big capitals, and their capitals had in the range of 1 to 10 million. Well, that isn't the case. That is not the case anymore, okay? There are cities all over the United States alone that have 5 or 10 or 20 million people. There's around 350 million people in the United States of America at the moment. There's actually probably closer to 360 million people. And for those of you out there that want to say, no, there's 330 something or 300, maybe 340. That is from a census, and that is censusing United States citizens. And it was last done a few years ago, and populations continue to grow. And there's the people that live here. You know, there's the people that are here but are not U.S. citizens. There are those who did not partake in the U.S. Census. There are those who hide and refuse to have anything to do with the census taker. So chances are there's probably at this moment, right now, June 11th, 2025, probably, I'm going to guesstimate, probably between 365 and 370 million people that are living at the moment in the United States of America. 10% of 365, well, that's nice, that's like how many days in a year. So we'll say 10% of 365 is 36,500,000 people. And what did I say before about possibility versus probability? What did I say before about general conversation? Less than 10% and less is irrelevant. Forget about it. So actually, what I'm essentially saying is, if there's an issue, if there's something going on, where 10% or less people partake in it, pertain to it, deal with it, have it, perceive it, value it, it's irrelevant. When dealing with general conversation, when dealing with laws, when dealing with voting, when dealing with preparation and possibility. Oh, sorry, probability. So that means that in the United States alone, any given topic, there's going to be 36.5 million people that are irrelevant. If you want to talk about what is sexually acceptable and unacceptable, and you take a survey that somehow, some way, all 365 million people that exist in the United States of America actually share their opinion, there's going to be 36 million people that make up whose opinions, whose thoughts, whose stance on what's acceptable for sex, what's acceptable for relationship, what's acceptable for clothing, what's acceptable for religion is going to be irrelevant. Now, also keep in mind that even though I'm saying 36.5 million people, does not mean that they're all saying the same thing. It just means that there's going to be 36 million people that make up whatever makes up the 10%. Because multiple things can make up the 10%. This also goes with this whole thing that I was saying about we don't live on a single dimension with multiple ends, with two ends. We don't live in a Republican versus Democrat society, reality. That's politics, it's not reality. Not everything is Republican or Democrat. You can't fit everything here or there. When we take polls and we take data, there's a whole bunch that's left out. It's like the people that hang the phone up and don't even bother to partake in a survey because I don't have time for that. And what the freak is this freaking bullcrap? Or that question itself is too narrow-minded for me because I don't believe in A or B. I don't believe in I don't think that the answer to the poll question is A or B or yes or no. I think it's a maybe, a possibility, something in between, something else, you know. So there are these unknowns, you know. Life is not in an A-B multiple choice. And I mean, the letters of the alphabet are not just A and B. There's not two letters of the alphabet. So, you know, my rheumatoid arthritis is acting up, so I just lost my train of thought. Let me. I gotta try to get it back. Okay, now I remember. So, 10%, the rare, the Abby normal, yeah, the abnormal, the unnatural, in the United States alone equaled 36.5 million people. So there's always going to be a large exception today. So that's a point, that is a concept, that's a perspective, that's a fact to keep in mind when thinking about, is something correct, is something right, you know, and why do we see people doing something contrary? Because in the 21st century, in the United States of America alone, the rare, the abnormal, equals 36 million. So you're bound to know somebody. You're bound to see something. And we have the news, we have social media, we have everybody has a smartphone, we have everybody recording things, so you're more likely to come across things that you normally wouldn't. Those 36 million people that are human beings that like to express themselves, that like to be a part of a group as Homo sapien and primates that exist in a family unit. And the family unit isn't just mom and dad. The family unit is the collective. It's the group. Excuse me. Human beings predominantly actually like to be the sheep. We gravitate towards being in a group, being in a herd. So with social media, abnormal people, people that feel isolated and people that feel alone in their community can push things on social media, can go on Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, Patreon, they can go on the news, they can go on TikTok, they can go on X, they can go on Blue Sky and find people and coalesce together on Reddit and say, oh my God, look at how many of us there are. Well, actually, in the overall greater scheme of things, there is not that many of you. Perspective, human perspective. 10% of 100,000, 10% of 100, 10% of 100,000, 10% of 100 million. The more people there are, the more rare and abnormal people there are. That's also a thing on the stock market too. 1929 versus now. But that's a completely different topic. Where am I at now? Oh, that's right. So that's one perspective. It's not my home run. It's not my I'm hitting the ball out of the park. Here's another thing. Evolution. Why don't we see evolution anymore? Why are humans been the same? Why don't we see animals out there changing and evolving right before our eyes? Well, we actually pay attention to how species evolve. While some smaller species will evolve in 10 or 20 generations, and for them 10 or 20 generations can actually be 5 or 6 years because of their special life cycle. But for most species, 20 generations is a couple hundred to a couple thousand years. And that is for a subspecial variant that's hard to distinguish from the main species. So then you're talking thousands, well, tens of thousands to millions of years before you actually evolve out of one species through a subspecies into a whole new species. So, but still, why so little evolution, especially with just over 2,000 years of human recorded history? Domestication. Human civilizations and metropolises, instead of biology evolving to environment and habitat, we alter and change our habitat and our environment to ourselves. In the 21st century, we have all the comforts and the technology and the wonders of cities and civilizations. We have computers and we have cars. We don't need to walk anymore. We don't need to do as much labor anymore. We have tools. We have machines, we have electronic devices that do things for us, so we can sit on our butts, grow plump, and make life what we want. It's with our technology, it's with our industry, our science, our tools, and our electronics that we are able to literally put mind over matter, but we're not actually putting mind, it's not our mind, no, we're using our mind to create things, and then with those physical things, change the physical world. And so with modern society, just like I mentioned, we don't need to do things anymore. We have tools for that. We don't need to physically fight our wars anymore. Like what's going on right now, what just happened with India and Pakistan, and what Trump is going on about, and what happened with Ukraine finally having a soccer punch to Russia. Drones. You don't need to send people out there anymore. We don't need to send men to go and die for women and children and other men anymore. We can send devices to go and do it. Reproduction. Remember I said, women have a window. Well, in vitro fertilization, did I get that right? You know, surrogacy. A woman can take her eggs out and transplant them into another woman, and have a surrogate incubator. Test tubes, hormone treatments, medical things. With technology, things of biology and things of being a ape no longer apply. Or don't apply as much. So it is in a advanced metropolis civilization with industry, technology, and science. Or I should actually put science before all that, but you know, with science, we are able to change the fundaments of reality. We are able to put our wants above old needs. And it is with that in modern civilization, sure, yeah, it's great, fine, go ahead. Not only is it now biologically cool and great for people to actually, people of either gender, to be in romantic and or sexual relationships with people of any age possibility, that is above not reproductive maturity, but societal maturity. But of course, also, if you really go by societal maturity in the 21st century, nobody should be in any type of relationship until they're at least 27. And let me tell you, you know, I just turned 40 last year, and 6 months I'm going to turn 41. You know, and I went to behavioral school. I went to a school with kids that had ADD, ADHD, schizophrenia, oppositional defiance disorder, bipolar disorder, antisocial anxiety disorder, a whole list of things, and there was no more than 60 kids in my school at any given time. And even at the school that I went to, with the type of children I went to school with, those kids with ADD, ADHD, and oppositional defiance disorder had, believe it or not, more maturity at the age of 14 through 16 than people that I see today that are between the ages of 21 and 25. But anyways, so you know, as long as you are an adult, I'm going to put it this way, we're on social media, we're going to nip all the stuff in the butt. As long as you are an adult, as long as you're 18 years of age, and the other person is at least 18 years of age, you can be in a relationship with someone of any age difference. Whether you're born the same day or you're 50 years apart, go for it. If a 70-year-old woman wants to be in a relationship with a 25-year-old male, and that 25-year-old male wants to be in a relationship with the, what did I go with, 78-year-old woman? You know, if a 78-year-old male wants to be in a relationship with a 25-year-old woman, and that 25-year-old woman wants to be in a relationship with a 70-year-old man, as long as they're both consenting and they're both for it, even if it isn't for love, even if it is for money. Hey, if someone is consenting, they're consenting. Even if you negotiated it, even if you courtshipped it, you know, seduce. Listen, seduction, that is natural, that's biological. And if someone consented through seduction, well, guess what? They were convinced of it. And you're out there right now trying to convince someone of your point of view. You're out there right now trying to convince people. You're out there right now trying to convince people that the stuff running out of your mouth, your jibba jabba, is fact. And that they and him should conform their points of view, their thoughts and their opinions to yours. That's non-romantic seduction. Seduction is convincing people. If someone's, as long as you know, everybody's consenting, everybody accepts, and everybody involved is 18 years of age or older, go for it. It's the 21st century. We live in an advanced, scientific, industrial, electronic society. But here's the thing. Just because even our current state of existence, even though our current reality says it's acceptable, doesn't mean you go for it. This is a big issue that people have. Because you also want to think about, people say I can, people say I can't. I can, and I want to. But really, do you? Do you? Do you want to be in a relationship with an older woman? Do you want to be in a relationship with a younger man? Do you want to be in a relationship with a younger woman? Do you want to be in a relationship with an older male? And most importantly, do you want to be in a relationship with that human entity? Do you see that human being as they are as an individual? Or did you just get it in your head that you want to be in a relationship with someone of a particular age, that person is of that particular age, and hey, you had a little spark for a moment, and you just jumped into the pool of their life? Are you in a relationship with someone because you're in a relationship with that someone? Or are you in a master servant? Are you in a human being doll relationship with the creation of your imagination? Because the issues that I see, what the big issue out there is people just jumping into relationships with other people for who they perceive them to be and not who they are. And most importantly, not accepting the other person for who they are. And people thinking that when you're in a relationship with someone else, you're one thing. You're two people. Two people come together to form one couple. A couple is two. Again, we're in a three-dimensional existence. Not a two and not a one. We're in a three-dimensional existence. A couple, by definition, is two. Are you equals? Are you compromising? Or are you dividing? Did you say that these aspects of our relationship are mine, and those aspects of our relationship are yours? And these aspects we're sharing equally, or taking turns, like, sharing whether simultaneously or taking turns. Are you sitting down with someone and conversating with them and getting to know them And are you setting down the regulations and the rules of your relationship? Cheating is not simply having a relationship with someone else while you're in a relationship with someone. Cheating is trying to win while breaking the rules. Cheating is trying to win or gain while breaking the rules. Rules. This whole concept of cheating has to do primarily with 19th and 20th century Christian ideology and principles. You're only cheating if you're breaking the rules of the relationship. Does your relationship have any rules? Did you even bother to discuss with the other person your expectations and your limitations in a relationship? There are people who've been together for 5 years. Don't really know each other, don't accept each other, always nagging each other, complaining, BSing and moaning, crapping all over each other, and accusing each other of cheating or breaking the rules. But then going on and on and on about, you didn't say that, you didn't say anything about this, why are you saying something about it now? See, this is the whole reason for courtship, for dating. It's a process to get to know someone. And then the same thing on like internet dating. The people out there say something more than hi. It's a process. Say hi. Hi, how are you? I'm doing good. Oh, my name is. Oh, my name is. Nice to meet you. Nice to meet you. And then the people out there, don't ask me what I'm interested in. Well, then, what are we supposed to even, never mind, what are we supposed to do if we meet up? But what are we supposed to do? What are we supposed to talk about? You know, not only are we supposed to get down, do when we get down and dirty, but like, where am I supposed to take you? I can't ask you what you're interested in. It's a part of the process of getting to know someone. And you build a foundation of a relationship. But anyways, I've jibber-jabbered a lot. I'm not really sure how much I actually talked because I split up into different videos, but I wouldn't be surprised if I chatted with you guys for an hour. But so, you know, my thoughts and my opinions on the little ex-Twitter tweets that I saw Warren Smith post about the live podcast he was on pertaining to women, older women and younger male spring and autumn relationships. Hypocrisy. It's not a hypocrisy. It's actually staying true. It's just saying the same thing the other way around. You know, it's staying true. It's not hypocritical. It's the result of human species, biology, history, culture, reproduction. Why are males supposed to sacrifice themselves for females? Biology, species, history. It has nothing to do with conservative versus liberal, and it's not hypocritical, and it is not contradictory. It is sane. It is practical. It is realistic. It's based in reality. It's based in science. It's based in evolution. But also, we now live in the advanced 21st century big city metropolis civilizations with science, industry, tools, and technology. So now it's more open. That's my thoughts on it. And I think I also take the opportunity to point out that, like I mentioned, like the maturity level, where, I mean, what used to be the maturity level of 14-year-olds now seems to be a maturity level that exists not in 14-year-olds, but in 24-year-olds. We are digressing in our maturity progress by at least a decade. So with this underdevelopedness, with people acting younger and younger, and then also with the current perspective and concepts and policies, agendas of liberalism, left wing, and the Democratic Party, where women, male haters are out there, while women want to dominate men, men want to be dominated by women. More and more people of either sex want to just sit on their butt and not do anything and not contribute. They want to be taken care of. They want to be handed things. More and more people, including myself, are stuck at home living with their parents. And you don't want to live with your parents. You want to live on your own. And one of the easiest way to do that is to find someone who's successful. And the easiest way to find someone who's successful is either to one of two things: find some young hip person on social media who's making it great, or to find an older person who has a successful, reliable career with a retirement package. So younger males that are living in this modern, liberal, left-wing, Democrat society of the 21st century, want to be in a relationship with older women. But I also want to point out is that while the current state of society allows that, and it is more acceptable, I will also point out that it is my thought, it is my opinion, that ultimately such relationships with older females and younger males, should only ever be a minority statistic. If it becomes the majority, human civilization will corrode and corrupt. And thinking, what? How dare you? Well, again, I jibber-jab it a lot. I'm trying to wrap this stuff up, and I keep finding more stuff to say. Maybe I'll say something about it in a later video. Although I wonder if anyone had ever even watched this. But if anyone did bother to watch this and you made it to the end, I, OmicronLynx, on my channel, Thoughts and Opinions, would like to give my appreciation, my thanks, and inform you of the honor it was to have you watch until the end out there in the world on YouTube. Have a great day out there in the world.